I think it's important for the mentee to understand that cultivating the relationship is really their responsibility. They're the one that sort of sets the tone, because they're the one essentially asking. It's obviously the mentors get something out of it, but it's very much a one-way relationship most of the time, because you're helping someone else. It's not like really a truly symbiotic relationship, other than obviously both people enjoy it. And so part of it is the understanding, like, oh, well, I don't want to be bothered. For me, I always say, if like they want to be mentored, I'm like, I need to hear from you at least once a quarter. If it's something pressing, if there's a job interview coming up, if there's a big life decision you want to talk about, we can sort of work through, don't be afraid to reach out. Like, sometimes if there's something, really important going on, or they've got a series of interviews, sometimes I'll talk to them 3 to 4 times a week. But it's short-lived, right? And so it's also, if the mentor-mentee relationship is formal, then you can sort of say, hey, when how frequently can we get together? And I'd say, I think really quarterly is sort of a magic number at a minimum, because then you sort of fall off the radar and then you lose that relationship. But I think I'm a big fan of pushing people to say, it's not always asking something, just shoot an email saying, hey, this is what's happening with me. I hope all is well with you. And I've got one gal, a Bruin, who is phenomenal at follow-up. She is amazing. And she gets all this interaction from a lot of people. And I remember the first time I met with her, and she was talking about that she was emailing back and forth with this up-and-coming director. I'm like, how did this happen? She's like, I just kept emailing her until she responded to me. Very persistent. And as far as the frequency, yeah, there is too frequent. But people who say, I always say this, which is when say, oh, I don't want to be pest. I'm like, then your built-in radar will make it impossible for you to be rude. Because it's like, if you're concerned about, I don't want to be a bother, it's literally impossible to follow up too much in that realm. And I always say, I'm like, assume you have to ask someone 3 times, because first time, everyone's busy, it's like I get probably at least, probably 1,500 emails a week. And so sometimes, as much as I may have a great intention, and I do have a process of making sure that I follow up on things, sometimes things do slip through the cracks. And so I'm appreciative when someone loops back after, 7 to 10 days, if it's timely, and says, hey, you know what, I'm just following back up from that email. I'm like, oh, thanks for the follow-up. I think it's good to know where that pressure point is. And, if you're concerned that you're following up too much, I always say you have to apply generally more gas and less brake, because people are very cautious about, being respectful of people's time, and they string it out way too long. Like I had, at Entertainment Networking Night, several people that I met from the Bruin Development Academy from earlier this year or last year. They're like, oh my God, I just want to say hi. And I'm like, well, why haven't you followed up? I'm like, oh, I don't want to be a bother. And it's, for both of us, it's a missed opportunity. So more gas, less brake.